See, now we're live.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the Hollywood Witch Hunter live show for the Perustopia book club. Woo! Reagan's here too.
Dance moves for days.
Yes. So this live show is going to be fairly quick because we both have to go places. I'm doing a talk show later today. Reagan has an awesome Harry Potter party. But we're going to be chatting about the book for the first 20 minutes. In the second 20 minutes, we're going to have the author, Valeria, and she's going to come and talk to you and talk to us about her book and everything. And we actually, Reagan and I talked a little bit about our inputs on the books, and we both have different inputs. So this will be very interesting. So how about Reagan, you start off with what you thought about the book.
So I thought the book was definitely a lot of fun. Like, it was a lighthearted read. Like, clearly it was kind of like a Buffy the Vampire Witch Hunter type of series, which I thought was really great. Like, I enjoyed how humorous the characters were. It might have just been a thing of taste because generally I don't really read kind of things like this, so it was definitely new for me. I really liked it, but I wouldn't say I loved it necessarily. But I will say, it was such a fast read. Like, you just fly through it. It was enjoyable. But I guess I wanted a little more. I guess what I was missing is because I absolutely loved the magic. I thought it was so cool, and I loved how a lot of it was inspired by X-Men. Like, all the witches had different powers. I really just wanted more world building, and that's probably because of fantasy that I like to read. All I read is pretty much fantasy, so I just really like world building and lore and history. So I probably wanted a little more than that. But overall, it was enjoyable. It was a good read overall.
Yeah. So what I thought about the book is I actually read it a month or two ago when I was coming into college. So I actually started it when I was moving into college, the week before I was getting everything set up. So I had to stop for a week in the middle of reading it, and then I picked it back up and read the rest. And so the reason that I recommended us to read it for this month's book club is because I'm I want to read it straight through, and I think that it was a really enjoyable read the first time around. But the second time around, I have to say it was better because I caught some things that I didn't catch at the first read, because there's some little hidden points in this that are hilarious if you get it. Reagan, I'm not sure if you got it, but at the beginning, the celebrity who got killed, I messaged Valerie about this, and I was like, is this Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah, I thought
got killed.
Yeah, and that's definitely something about the book that I thought was really fun, because obviously it's not real, but there was definitely a lot of references to real world stuff. I was like, oh, it has to be Jennifer Lawrence. Super celebrity was in book to movie adaptation. I thought it was really funny to see things like that. Oh, I will quickly say, guys, if you have any questions for us, just write in the little sidebar, in the video. I'm monitoring that. And do we want to quickly make a hashtag, Sasha?
Yeah, let's do Hollywood Witch Hunter. So HWH live show on Twitter. Tag your questions to that. But yeah, so going on, I thought the book was a really fun read. I really enjoyed it. It's not something that you need to take really seriously, because Reagan mentioned, we both read lots of heavy fantasy novels. So it does have a fantasy aspect to it, but it's also urban satire. Yeah. So you need to take into consideration that it is it's not supposed to be taken completely seriously, but honestly, of course, every book has its flaws, but honestly, I thought it was a fun read. It's a read that you pick up if you're having either in a reading slump or having a bad day and you just want to laugh. I laughed a lot of times, and it helped that one of the guy characters in the book had a Scottish accent. I like that.
Yeah, I definitely, it's definitely something you can really sit down and read in one day. It just goes really quickly. And I enjoyed the satire part of it. You really get a lot of Buffy the Vampire feels from it. I will say probably the one thing that I wish was a little, maybe because I read it so quickly because it's such a fast read of a book, I wanted the romance to be a little more explained. I was kind of confused between no, not confused. I was just tell him how you feel, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Arlo was do you want to go on a date? And she'd be like, no. And then 10 minutes later, she'd be like, I love him so much. I'm he asked you on a date. Just freaking go on the date.
Yeah.
Go on the date.
And I had the issue with I like Silos way better than I liked Arlo. Arlo is a little brother. He's the ones that's you don't take too seriously. He's kind of the he's kind of like the Simon Lewis in this world. Like, you know how there's like Moreland's friends, there's Jason, and there's Simon, and there's Peter. That's how I kind of pictured this little layout, which was like, I was definitely not rooting for Arlo. I rooted for Arlo as in like, oh, for her friend. Yeah. But I like Silas. He was dark and brooding. He was a warlock.
I liked Arlo better. I thought he was sweet, nice, and he was like straight up. I guess I like male characters that are straight up like, yo, I like you. Let's go on a date. But like Silas, I thought he was kind of creepy. Like anyone who calls me love that much, like I get it, you're from the UK, but you don't have to be like, oh, hello, love. Like, no, I'm not your love. Stop calling me that. Like,
you know what I thought was funny though when he said love? I never heard a Scot say hello there, love. Like that's mostly like British. Like so I kept on saying like in a Scottish accent, I'm like, hello there, love, and I'm like, no, that does not work. It just didn't sound right with his like Scottish heritage because it's the UK people. So that's the one thing that I didn't like was the use of love so much. Because I'm like, I've never heard a Scot say love, and I've been around Scottish people a lot.
Yeah, you were just there. You're basically an expert. You've seen Outlander how many times?
Way too many to count.
You're a resident Scot expert.
I know. I could live in Scotland and be fine.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Like I said, like my favorite part was definitely like the witch powers, and because of that, I just wish we just had more inside information, which I'm sure we'll get just based on the end of the book, because she finds out she herself has witch powers. Spoiler alert, but I guess you're supposed to have read the book if you were watching this live show. So like it'd be cool to learn more about the different covens or like different groups of witches and like what different witches are classified as and stuff like that. That's definitely the part of the book that I enjoyed the most. I'm gonna see if we have any questions. What about you, Sasha?
I love the magical aspect to it just because I found it really unique and interesting. Did I remember what each like witch's like name is? This like I did not remember which name was associated with which power, but luckily like Val, she did a good job with reminding us about which name was associated with the powers. But I really liked the powers. I thought it was really interesting, and I also liked one of my favorite characters was Belinda, who is like the queen of the Hollywood Coven, just because she was like. She was a very interesting character. You didn't know to believe, like whether you wanted to believe her or not. But she started off as like this big looming character that was like seemed really intimidating, and I like how she kind of got broken down towards the end, and you discovered that she's actually insecure and she has no idea what's going on. She's getting like framed for murder, and it's all insane.
Yeah, I like Belinda a lot too. I wish. And I bet this is probably where the satire element came in, because like her character, obviously all these characters are walking stereotypes because it's supposed to be like a commentary kind of thing, you know, like they're very extreme characters. They're not supposed to be, which makes them really entertaining. But at the same time, I also wish Belinda had a little more glimpses of humanity throughout the book. Like I get it. She has like these ridiculous, like girly girl, like popular girl type of airs to her. But I also wish she had like a little more reality just every once in a while, just to kind of remind us.
Oh, question. At the beginning of the book, like the first chapter, when she discovers that she can like hunt witches, I was, there's points in this book where I think that certain scenes could be taken out and just like left alone, because I felt like it really lived up to the typical young adult book. At the beginning was one of the times that I'm like, what? Like I feel like it threw you into it too fast, and kind of it got really confusing. The first chapter, like I had to read back. I'm like, how does she get this like gold like knife? Like how does she get to this party? Like it all was just a little confusing. I wish we had some more backstory before like we had this flashback.
Yeah, and it seemed like I agree with that as well. A little more backstory, and then sometimes like the curveballs, while they're supposed to be surprising, seem to be like really curveballs, like out of nowhere. And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that's what's going on. Let's do that," you know. And I was kind of like, "Wait, guys, what? Like, what? Like he just goes to this bad guy's house, and he's like." No, let me tell you what's really going on. And she's like, oh, it was my father all along. And I'm like, what? Like,
it was like I love certain plot points I really love. Like even though I expected Silas to be like a warlock, whenever like when it got uncovered, I was still like, ooh,
that was a cool twist. That was a cool twist. I like that a lot.
Yeah, especially because like the warlocks are supposed to be extinct, and then like you're like, oh my gosh, her last coven is in like Wales. Then you're like, wait, her father's in Wales. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all in all, like I did really enjoy this book. Like I would give it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars, definitely. On Goodreads, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. So I feel like I don't like the Goodreads rating system. I wish you can like do half stars with it.
I always do half stars. I just comment. I'll be like this, and I'll be like 3.5.
I know that's what. Or it's I once did on a review that like bugged a lot of people. I did I think it was a 3.25. You're like, why are you doing that? I'm like,
a 4.85 before, because I was like, it's better than a 4.75, but it's not quite 5 stars.
Yeah, you know, so you gotta put it down.
Yeah. So I would probably overall give this book a 3 stars. I thought it was a good ride, fun, fast paced. I had a little issues with the plot and just the backstory. Like I just wanted more information to kind of flesh out the characters. Yeah. But other than that, like it was definitely really fun.
Yeah, just like the biggest problem I had with it, like I really enjoyed it, but the biggest problem was that I know Val's such a great writer, and I know this, but like so when I went into the book the first time and the second time, like well mostly the first time, I expected her to like not do any of the typical young adult stereotypical stuff in it, but I found out, but then she did at certain, like it wasn't overused, it wasn't like too much young adult stereotypical stuff, but there were some instances where I'm like, this could have done without it, like it could have been like. It could have been a little bit different, but she did like redeem like the plot line after that young adult stereotypicalness with some epic like awesomeness with Iris. Like I thought Iris was a very strong character at points. Like you're like, come on, Iris. But I think that Val really was able to balance out the young adult aspect with it with like with a more epic aspect to it as well. If that makes sense. Like
yeah. Definitely crazy that she's only 16, right?
No, yeah. I would if I had to change ages in this, I would put her like 18 with the rest of the characters.
Because it seems like she should be in high school.
I know.
Like, why are you in class, girl? Get that.
I know. I was so shocked. One thing that
bedtime.
I know. Do you know what I wish was that well not wish, but I found this like a little funny because when her brother and her like acted more as friends than brother and sister, so like when he like made like sexual comments like about like Arlo and stuff, I'm like, this is your brother. Then I'm like, this is so weird, but it's so funny, and it like made it entertaining to read, even because it's like so just like I don't know. I don't have a brother. If I did, I wouldn't talk about any like relationship.
Well, I'll let you know for somebody who has a brother, that is something we definitely would never talk about.
Yeah, it's like different with a sister, but like brother, I'm like, wow, they must be really close. But another topic I want to touch base on is the diversity in this book. I loved this book because of the diversity, because Iris is half like I think it's like yeah, and that's half Colombian. I love that because we need more diversity in books, and Val did an awesome job with incorporating it and also like putting down stereotypes and like making it awesome. I was just so happy she did that. I was really happy, and I think it's great. I
definitely like those moments where like there'd be where Iris would like speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you speak Spanish? Like that's really helpful. Or like it's funny when someone commented they could never tell what her ethnicity was. Like people thought she was Persian, like the Kardashians or something, and she's like, no, Colombian.
Yeah, she's like, I'm Colombian. I asked Val, I was texting her, I'm like, so who are your dream cast for the characters? And she answered. So she said like it was so she pictured Selena Gomez as Iris. She pictured Grant Gustin. He is like the Flash. I'm pronouncing his last name wrong. I love him. And then Liam Hemsworth for Silos. And I'm like, I love this casting. I really do.
Well, if Liam Hemsworth was Silos, I'd probably have to change my mind.
I changed it to who did I picture him as?
No, younger Liam Hemsworth. I'm saying like if that character was Liam Hemsworth, I'd probably become a Silos fan.
Oh my God, please. Do you I have to tell you something, Reagan. So I'm reading Passenger right now, and I'm loving that I read a diverse book before Passenger, and then I'm reading a diverse book currently. Do you have it? You need to read it. You would love it. The main guy character, I love him, and I love the diversity because honestly, I feel bad about this, and I feel like I wish there were more books with mixed race couples in it.
Oh, there's a mixed race couple in here. That's awesome. Yeah, that's probably the first mixed race couple I've ever would have ever read.
I know, and I'm not sure if they're gonna be a couple.
No, there's one in Diviners by Liv Bray. Sorry.
Yeah. See, I love that. I love how the diversity is actually becoming a huge aspect in books nowadays because it is so overdue, and just knowing that, and like I just love that. That's like one of my favorite things because we do not see it enough, and whenever I see it, I'm like, Thank you.
I especially like it when it's in books not just about that. Like, I like when it's just normalized within, like, a fantasy book. Like, it's not a contemporary novel about two individuals who are, you know, like, same thing with, like, dealing with homosexuality in novels or just LGBTQ plus elements of books. Instead of it being just a contemporary novel where they're exploring it and accepting themselves, which I think is a really important novel because a lot of people go through that. But I also really appreciate it when we just come across it normalized in literature, just being like, oh, hey, this main character's gay, and that's just who they are.
How it is. Yeah. Exactly. And like, I believe that no matter what race you are, no matter what gender you identify with, whatever like sexuality you are, it is normal to be whoever you are, and it shouldn't be something that's like a huge point in a book where that's not the main plot line. Like I love how like what I enjoy is that, like, for example, in Passenger, like Nicholas's race is mentioned, but it's not the main point, and it also shapes how people treat him in the eras that he's in. So I think that's so interesting. I think it's, and like I think he's my favorite character so far. And like, really but that should have like. I
know this isn't the Passengers live show, but I'm really excited. I know because it's like everything I want in my life. It's just like, sorry. I'm just so excited because it's like it's like time travel, historical fiction, different eras. Like it just sounds so cool. But should we go ahead and invite Val into the live show?
Yes. But yeah, guys, in the comments down below, I want to read through your comments. How do you think about diversity in books? What are your favorite diverse books out there? Are you writing any diverse books for NaNoWriMo? I would love to know because I feel like it's a huge movement now in the young adult genre, and I think I'm just so happy about it. I cannot express that enough. So that being said, we're gonna invite Val into the convo. So I'm just gonna text her right now. Come in. Okay. But I definitely want to touch base. I want to get we should definitely ask Val what made her like really. I know what made her put diverse characters in her books, but I want you guys to know about it as well because I feel like it's such an awesome story, and it's really like inspiring.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, do you know what's interesting? I have to mention this. So my friend, my sweet mate actually, Caitlin, she's also my friend, but she's doing NaNoWriMo and she's writing her characters, but she's not mentioning any of their skin colors. So people can
cool. Is that awesome? Well, isn't that kind of like, there's this book that I own called Auxiliary Justice, and I know like the gender roles are really interesting in that because like everyone's identified as female.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're not. Or, like it's like just their gender roles are very, and like the gender identity is very different. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah. Hey!
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We're just talking about your book got us started on a conversation about like diversity in books and not just race but sexuality and what gender you identify as. So yeah, guys. So this is Val. She is the writer of Hollywood Witch Hunter. Val, do you want to give a little background on who you are and like your inspiration for writing Hollywood Witch Hunter?
Well, I'm the author of Hollywood Witch Hunter. Obviously, I wouldn't be here. So let's see. Well, I'm an entertainment journalist. That's my day job. And then I wrote this book during NaNoWriMo like 2 years ago. So that's how this all came about. But it actually started as a script. So that's like a big thing with this. Is this was supposed to be a TV script. So I think a lot of this, like I completely agree with like the world building, a lot of stuff with this book. But if you write scripts, you purposefully don't put a lot of those things in there. So when I went through and I kind of like finished it, you know, a lot of stuff got left out. But I think if I could go back, that's my thing too, is I'm like, okay, I would go back, I would add more of this, I would add, like bring out the witches' powers because I loved their powers so much too.
It's so cool.
I know, I didn't think there was enough of it in there. I wish I would have been able to do that. But yeah, no, it was a fun book to write. It was really fun, definitely a satire. And yeah, the diversity is my favorite part, really. I'm really happy about all the diversity in there. But
yeah. And Val, can you explain like what made you want to put diversity in your book besides obvious points and how like anybody should be it? But, well, yeah, I think your story is great.
I think for me it was like when I was younger, I just didn't see any books like that because I'm Latina, I'm part Latina, and there was no characters like that anywhere. And if I ever saw characters like that, it was always like a stereotype, like the Latina stereotype, and it was always an issue. And so I really wanted it to be just you know, Iris was who she was. She happened to be Latina, but she also was this like kick-ass witch hunter. Yeah. So I think that that was really important to me. And so with that in mind, when I did start writing this, whether it was going to be like a TV script or a book, it was important for me to write the story that I needed as a teenager. And what I really wanted was just something fun with like a bunch of diverse like cast members, you know what I mean? Where it just wasn't a big deal. It was just kind of normal life.
Yeah, it's how real life actually is.
Yeah, that's how I grew up. So I was like, I have to make a world like I grew up in, you know.
Yeah, it's not like a typical like I feel like there's lots of stereotypical young adult worlds out there. Yeah. And I love like how the movement just didn't just get started, but it's been like really big talk around like the young adult community of what's the tagline? It's like, we need diverse books, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so seeing more diverse books coming out there in the world is so fantastic, and I love it so much. And I just loved reading about it in your book, like with the Colombian aspect to it. But that's not all about it. Like, I loved how you didn't make it stereotypical, and I love how you made it like Iris was awesome, and like having her like be able to speak Spanish like was so cool. And I wish I could speak Spanish, but I sadly did not take it past 7th grade.
Yeah, I'll say if somebody lives in Texas, being able to speak Spanish would be very helpful. But no, I believe the diversity in your book. It wasn't just like you had individuals who seemed like token diversity characters. Like they really. Yeah. It was nice to see diversity that was really fleshed out, and also it wasn't just like, oh, I'm Latina. Like you gave her a specific area, which is really awesome, because a lot of times you don't see, like I feel like a lot of times when we have different races, it's just like an umbrella race, but within a heritage or within an area, there's so much more diversity. Like, you know, there's like, for example, within like South American cultures, there's so many different countries. Like people are from so many different places. So it's great to see such a unique place for her to come from.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it in the book. And now that you mentioned that it's supposed to be a script, that makes so much sense to me now. Like reading this, I totally can see it as like a CW show. Like
I know.
It has that like quirky, ridiculous characters doing like ridiculous.
Like Scream Queens. I don't know if you guys have watched that, but like
that
when
was so good.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally how I saw this going as a TV show. You know, just everyone's over the top and they're totally like fitting a certain stereotype. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know if it comes across in the book, but at the same time, I'm glad I did that because I really wanted to do it for Nano, and I didn't see any young adult books like that at the time. So I was just like, I'm just writing this for fun for me, and I never thought it would ever get picked up. So I'm like still stunned that it did. So, you know, I'm glad that it did. But it's funny because I'm working on a new book now, and it's nothing like the writing's like so different, and it's nothing like this book. So I'm just like, this is so funny because, you know, you write more and then your writing changes, and so it's interesting. Looking back, I'm like, wow, this is so interesting. I wrote this during Nano, and whoa, it's just weird.
Cool. Great advertisement to participate into NaNoWriMo in a couple days, people.
Yeah, you guys should.
You never.
You know I'm doing it.
I know. I'm so excited for you. It's definitely like it can totally happen if you stick to the schedule. It's doable. It really is, and it's really fun because so many people do it at the same time. So it's like this big community, and it's really exciting. And you guys have to do it. I know Sasha's doing it. You should do it, Reagan.
I'm not. I don't write. I just read.
You got it. You should try one day. You never know. You could write.
I can write really great historical analytical papers if anyone wants to read those.
Oh my God, yes! That should be published.
I just wrote one about the Tokugawa era Japan and their economic system. I can send that over, guys. So.
Okay, we'll review it. No, but like I think it's so interesting because NaNoWriMo, like I always said, I'm not a writer, I'm a reader, but and I still believe that to an extent, but I want to challenge myself and at least write something to know that I can, and it doesn't have to be good. Like everybody always says, like with Nano, like you do not have to make it great, just write it and then you can go back and edit it once it's done, just get the words on the page. Like I was like struggling for an hour just getting a synopsis out, and the synopsis I have is really bad, but I'm like, whatever, at least it like gives an idea about what it's all about. And I mentioned in a video that's going up, I think tomorrow, about my NaNoWriMo like book and everything. I mentioned how Val, I actually mentioned you in it. I'm like, I have 2 author friends who wrote their books during Nano, and they're great books.
Oh gosh.
That would give me hope that I can actually write something, and mine doesn't have to be great. It just has to be something that makes me happy that I got published.
Yeah, well, I think it's admirable
Yes.
that, Sasha, like, you have definitely more guts than I have, because I would just be like, I don't even know where to start. Plus, mine would probably be something most people wouldn't want to read, because I'd just be like, what historical setting can I put in?
Ooh, I would read it.
I know, I would read it too. That sounds fun. No, that's the thing, is you have to, when you write, you have to keep in mind, like, I always tell people this, is never write what you think other people want to read. Like, write the book that you want to write, what's fun for you, and then if people want to read it and it gets published, that's like a bonus, you know? We just kind of write because you enjoy it, and you write the story you want to tell, and you don't write for anybody else. That's what I always say. You don't want to write with other people in mind, but you guys, I mean, I think anyone can be a writer, honestly, if you want to be, for sure.
So speaking of writing, what would be your writing process? Do you have like a specific place you like to go? Do you like to write at home? Do you like to write at night, in the morning? Tell us.
Oh gosh, usually night, because I'm a major night owl. I'm up till at least like 3 a.m. every night. I can't go to bed early, so I usually get more like inspired and write more in the evening. And I don't write too good at coffee shops. Like, I always drink coffee while I'm writing, but I'm too extroverted, so if people are around, I want to talk to them, and then I'll just be talking to strangers the whole time, and I won't get any work done. So I usually write at home, like, late at night is what I usually do.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, and do you want to tell about, like, your husband? He's a writer too, right?
Yeah, I know. I wish I could say more. No, we're working on, oh gosh, I don't know if I could say, but we are working on something together. And so I'm really, really excited about it. He's an incredible writer, and we have the same literary agent and everything. So I can't wait till that's kind of announced later and everything.
Follow him on their Snapchats because it's adorable, and Brand, he dances on them.
Yeah, so he's hilarious. And he's Scottish. Okay, so I will say this. That's why I did add a lot of the love in there, because he's like 100%, well, he's like 75% Scottish, but his whole family's Scottish, and they all like talk like that. Yeah, so I don't know. But it probably depends, I would think, on what area of Scotland you're from. I don't think everybody like, kind of like in California even, like people in Southern California and Northern California a lot of times talk different. So I think that's probably a big part of it too, maybe depending on what part of Scotland you're from. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably
but
true.
Yeah, he's funny on the Snapchat. He dances on there, and it's pretty hilarious.
It's fantastic.
I know, it kills me. It's so funny. I don't know how it happened, but...
Oh my gosh. But so you live in California. What is it like to live in like Hollywood? Is it like we know that your book's like a satire on it, but how true is that like compared to the actual thing?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, I grew up in Burbank, which is right like next door to Hollywood, and then I worked as an entertainment journalist, so I have like a lot of experience in Hollywood and have seen a lot of behind the scenes things and have interviewed a lot of actors. So I have kind of been in the world. I think it can be very cutthroat and very shallow, for real. I mean, honestly, which is kind of like, you know, why I wanted to do this satire of it. But of course, there's always people that are super nice too and great. But it's just, yeah, it's a cutthroat industry, and I think it's just, it's so much based on your looks and money, and that's what I didn't like about it, and that's kind of why I made the whole witches steal the youth of people, because I was like, that was a whole thing for me about, like, they would do that. Like, in Hollywood, you would kill to be young and pretty, like, you would do that. And so, yeah, it's kind of a crazy world, but there are great people in it, too, and people that are really sweet and really genuine, but I think it's easy to kind of lose focus on what's important if you're kind of in that all the time, but yeah, it's an interesting life.
But definitely like so I messaged Val Val, so when I found out about you making the Hollywood actress who died at the beginning, like Jennifer Lawrence, I was about to hop on my flight back to Boston from my home, and like I was like, okay, do I text her now or do I text her like when I get back like to my dorm, because I wanted to ask you like if it was like true, and when I found out that it was, I'm like, that's a great hit. If people don't get that, like they're missing out on like a good laugh.
I know, and I purposefully didn't mention her name, and I also wanted to pick somebody who was actually a genuinely nice celebrity, because she is like a really nice celebrity, and she's a really good person, and that was kind of the point. Is I think if it was like a snobby celebrity, like nobody would care, you know, like in the witch hunting world or whatever, But I think somebody is like sweet and kind and like talented as Jennifer Lawrence. If you're hinting that somebody like that, it makes it more like, wow, who did this, as opposed to, you know, if it was somebody else. So I really thought about who should I hint at this being, and she's actually like really nice. So I thought, who's the nicest celebrity? And she popped into my mind. But I'm surprised you guys caught it. I think some people have, because I've gotten emails, and some people haven't. Kind of mixed.
Yeah, I caught it right away, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought that was such a good like point, and like, I thought that was so funny because like at the beginning, I'm like, okay, who's the celebrity? And then once you mentioned like how in like by her like all of her awards, there's like a book signed by the author of the adaptation that she's a part of. I'm like, wow.
I know. What's so funny is that part almost got cut, the mention of the adaptation, and I was like, no, it has to be here so they can know that it's possibly her. So I'm glad it stayed, because like that was a big.
I have a question, just in basics, because I know it's a satire to like a lot of the environments you have around you. I want to know, have you seen a lot of 16-year-olds with a Birkin bag? Because I saw that reference in your.
I know. Like, oh yeah, in LA, yeah, it's not that unusual to see 16-year-olds with a Birkin bag for sure.
$10,000 purse as a backpack.
I know. It's ridiculous, right? I know. Somehow the way people like live, I'm just like, how? It's just crazy. But yeah, I know. That was there on purpose too, just for that whole like, it's ridiculous, you know.
I know it, and the thing is, it's the saddest part. I read that and I was like, man, I want a Birkin bag. Of course, like, I'm never gonna. That's like outrageous, but you know, it's like it still gets you. Consumerism.
I know.
I must have missed that point because like I'm not very in touch with like I don't know about that many designer brands.
Yeah.
But like now that you mentioned it, like that's ridiculous how like people have those expensive bags and everything. Like, can I sell your bag to pay for my college, please?
I know,
like you could sell a Birkin bag and it could pay for most of my college.
It really could. They're so expensive, it's crazy. There's actually a lot of things that got deleted that were more like references like that, and then I think some of the stuff was just a little too harsh. Like I think I was dissing Hollywood a little too much, so it got taken out. But I think if it was like a TV show, probably would have been more appropriate to go a little harder, because you can visually see, you know, the satire and what you're making fun of. But on paper, sometimes I think certain parts that got removed sounded a little too much, so I ended up getting taken out. But it's interesting.
Okay, if you could pick one thing that got taken out of your book that you wish stayed in, what would it be?
Oh gosh, you know, it was probably a reference that I put about plastic surgery. Like, I won't like say like too much about it because I don't want to, you know, I don't like to talk crap. But it was just kind of a reference I put about that I like wanted in it first because I thought, oh, this is so funny, and then looking back, I thought, you know, I don't want to. I mean, act like I'm making fun of anybody. So then I'm glad it did get taken out. But yeah, there was a funny reference in there about some celebrities who are a little into plastic surgery.
Yeah, just a little bit. Wow. Okay, so out of all the witch's powers, which one do you think you would have?
Oh my gosh, I know. I've totally thought about this.
I'll answer it.
Oh, what?
We'll all answer this.
Okay, perfect. You know, I always go to like the Protoss witch because of the mind control aspect, but then I also I started to really like the Matas witches because of just their aspect of being able to like summon a certain animal, like one in particular. Like, even though I hate spiders and snakes and all that, to be able to kind of like Lavana can summon snakes, and she can also have access to like their like poison, you know, stuff like that, and that would just be like really powerful. I'd be like, wow, you could almost do anything you want, scare people, use it against people. So I don't know. I think it might be a little creepier to be a Matas witch for that reason, and just have like a little companion, you know, or something like doing stuff for you. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool to have like a wolf or something, or like a jaguar.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Reagan, what would you be?
Well, I have to say, one of my favorite witches from the book was Lavanya. I don't know. I thought I liked her. I thought she was.
Yeah, she's like my favorite.
I don't know. This is kind of. I just have to think of like X-Men and Airbender. Like, do I want to be a waterbender? Do I want to be an airbender?
I want to be the Avatar.
I think I like Belinda's powers the best. Like, I thought, maybe because she's like the most powerful one. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought hers were really cool. So probably her powers.
Well, can anybody's powers control, like, I forget the names of the powers, but like control like let's say I want to like make like telekinetic abilities. Were there any in the book? I don't think.
Yeah, the Protoss witches can do stuff with the mind. So there's witches that can do telekinetic powers.
Yeah, I'll be Protoss. Like I would definitely be that because in my book she has telekinetic abilities, and I would love to just like be laying down in my bed and just be like, "Oh, book, come to me," and then be like,
I know.
Oh,
I know, that'd be amazing.
The lazy person that I have inside me.
I know, me too. I would love that. I love Belinda's powers too. I just love Belinda. I do really like her a lot. She's awesome.
Yeah, she is so cool.
I really like her.
I think I like Belinda and Levana the best. I think they're besides like Iris, who's like the main character, like obvious. But like I just like them because they're just so ridiculous that you can't love them. Like when they were driving to like the club or whatever, and Levana was like, "Let me fix your face." She's like, "You just have snakes." She's like, "No, I got like, don't worry. Like I have aesthetic abilities." I was like, she's literally injecting snake venom into her face to make her look more beautiful. Like I just thought it was so funny.
It's just so funny.
It's so funny.
Awesome.
It's so over the top.
Yeah, no, it's so over the top. Because, like, if that was a real thing that real people could get to make themselves look more attractive, like, you know people would be doing it. Which is
yeah, you know they would.
Like, funny because of it.
I know. I really like her character, too. And I loved just kind of being ridiculous and over the top with them because I just thought it was just so fun. Like, again, I never thought, like, anyone would pick this up. So when I wrote it so, like, just free. Like, I'm going to be so over the top. I'm going to be so satirical and just, you know, do whatever. And then it's kind of interesting how it came out. So, I mean, it's really funny. I like Belinda a lot, though. I like how sometimes there's someone who she reminds me of that I was watching recently. Not Hocus Pocus, but just like, you know, in Hocus Pocus, how the witches are just so ridiculous and, like, over the top with how they talk. Sometimes I feel like Belinda reminds me of that a little. Just because I watched Hocus Pocus the other day. I'm like, okay, he's a little over the top.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of our live show because we both have to get going. But I don't know, like, I know that you're working on something, but I don't want you to, like, say anything that you can't. But you are working on something, correct?
Yes.
So, guys, you can stay tuned for a next book coming sometime in the future.
Woo! I know. It's so different, though, I must say. It's like a completely different book and different writing style and everything. It's actually really an intense and stressful book, and when I've been writing it, I'm, like, sweating, like, as I write it. Like, I'm so stressed. Why am I writing this story? But it's really, really fun. I really like it, and, yeah, so I guess hopefully I'll be sharing that soon. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for even, like, picking Holly the Witch Hunter as your book.
Val, you know
that was so nice of you guys. I really appreciate it, and it just means a lot. So thank you so much.
Of course, and it's like the perfect book to read for Halloween. Like, I was so happy. It got me in the Halloween spirit, made me want to be a witch.
Yeah. And maybe next year it'll be airing just like Queens too, and we can watch it.
Oh gosh. I know. You
okay, so right now we're just gonna announce what our next book club book is. And Reagan, do you want to do the honors?
Sure. So next month, everyone, we're going to be reading Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is a new release for this past month. Everyone's been talking about it, but now you have an excuse to read it. It's going to be amazing. Everyone loves Fangirl, but we all want to know what's happening with Simon and Baz. So now we're going to find out. So
yeah,
gosh, that's an amazing book choice.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
that is an amazing book choice.
It's
a bit long, but we're like, we have to do it. It's like,
oh yeah, you have to.
Yes. Well, thank you everybody for watching this live show. Thank you, Val, for being here. If you guys want to go follow Val on any of her links, we'll be linking all our social medias down below. Reagan, you're going to be here because this is our book club, so thanks for showing up. Hey. And guys, have a happy and safe Halloween.
Yay.
So, bye.
Bye. Thanks again.